and get the team up. You never know. That would be nice. That'd be crazy. I'm immediately looking at a potential hover, which I again another hero that I wouldn't expect to see come through, but I'm happy to be proven wrong.
Oh, absolutely. Well, let's see. Let's see if the Moon Knight makes an appearance. Let's see if the Black Widow is going to be in
That's
play.
That's the one I was thinking.
I mean, the thing is, I've already seen some. I was looking back at some of the previous rounds, and Black Widow was played a bit by people that were winning as well, by teams that were doing well. And there are some combos out there, like if you have a Hawkeye in play, I could see that, but it seemed like it was just Widow being run on her own. So very curious to see if anybody does follow through with that. Looking at the bans that we've had in play, though, again, we've talked about this already today, but no surprise to see Adam Warlock fading out. I think combining with a Star-Lord and a Mantis, his res can do so much, and then the individual res that you get alongside it. The other player who manages to bring players back is Rocket, and he will also be facing a ban at the hands of Team Aegis.
I think that's also because of the safety of the Winter Soldier. Like, if you're gonna have someone picking to hold on to that hero, you want to make sure that at least you're not going to be facing up against the infinite ammo version of Winter Soldier. So understandable, and well, I guess clearly either forgot or very, very confident that they don't need another ban because nothing has been removed by Rabbit, which I'm gonna call them. I've decided not to finish that name.
Why not? Why not, Tom? I'm not I don't understand. I understand why you would be so
just
controversial.
You, no one at home. Just you. Google it.
Well, looking at the side of Rabbit, they've decided not to go for a ban in that second phase, which I think might be the first time I've seen that, short of a team being AFK.
Well, yeah, I think there was a mistake once where a team didn't go for the first ban, but I've not seen a team not go for the last ban. That's definitely a bit more interesting. And yeah, I don't know if that's an error or it just came down to a point of like, okay, we don't really know much about our opponent. We don't want to take away something that we could potentially switch to, so we'll just let them keep it. I'm also noticing that Rabbit have another player on their team who I'm going to refer to only as Sir and nothing more.
Yes. I'm not sure.
How has that got through the filter?
Can you tell me which player you're talking about again?
Winter Soldier on the defensive team.
Very good, very good. Well, Bucky over there gonna be seeing what he can do on that defensive side. Rabbit, the squad, quite controversial bunch of people, I suppose. They the tongue-in-cheek, it would appear. Aegis are on the attacking side, and I like what they're bringing to bear. I'm always excited to see a Psylocke, especially after what we saw in the earlier game, and I'm curious to see if it's going to still have that level of impact. We just saw them running through the backline, shredding those supports earlier on. The question remains whether we're going to see the same thing this time. Big dive coming out of Aegis. Look at that run through from the thing, and well, they've got boots on the ground. 1 point ticked up, but oh, never mind, they're still going. No one's on the point from Rabbit. No one's on the point. They're fighting up top. They're being picked off one by one, and the payload's being claimed.
I guess just not able to get back in. It can be difficult to try and reclaim that ground, especially when you've been segmented. Obviously the rotation back to this point is so much further than what you'll get from the attacking side, but this really is a solid start for Aegis, because again, we've seen a lot of teams at times struggle to get over the line with the first point and get the payload moving, but they've made it look very easy.
Yeah, they really did. That way, honestly, it confused me. I was thinking, am I like misreading what I'm seeing? They're just standing on it with a Loki, and then later with a Groot, and the wall blocks out some of the damage from up top, but no one is looking to put boots on the ground, and that's strange to see. I suppose with those players being sent backwards, your Vanguard already taken out. There's not much that you can do with that kind of composition. Now again, Rabbit coming in with some ultimates. I believe that was Eye of Agamotto used, and that's going to make it easy for the Hela ult up top to just pick them off. Inside the invisible boundary, they're safe, but they are forced to retreat with the lack of numbers.
The Goddess of Death, solely named for a reason. You can see just the attempted regroup. See, we've got to keep an eye at all times on the Psylocke, looking to try and come in from behind, but with the fact that there's currently 2 strategist ultimates online for the defense, expectations should be low. Clobbering time has done well. Kai still looking to try and chase down this Loki, has been fighting multiple different mirages, but eventually gets the job done. That is one of the 3 strategists, but as said, there were so many ultimates in play, but they've all been expended. It's now an opportunity for Sir to really do that extra damage. He's not going to get anything more than just the one, and the rest of the squad getting wiped.
Oh, big dive as well on the back lines from Magic. Immortality Field going to keep them alive for a moment, but their invulnerability doesn't last forever. Double Invisible Woman ults as well, pulled in from both sides. This makes the battleground actually manageable. They can all stand and fight inside it, and once they fade, it's a cascade of KOs for the side of Aegis. The attackers getting a lot done, and that's a desperate ultimate being used to try to pull back an advantage. They needed a Doctor Strange duelist essentially to come through, and well, he didn't get nearly enough of them stunned up. That's a big take with the point secured. 4 minutes and 30 seconds to make it to the final checkpoint.
I definitely think, though, the last stage of this symbiote world can be very, very difficult to sort of break through. Problematic when it gets to those final chokes, but Aegis have done quite well so far to win those all-important team fights. I think, again, just being able to get things done with the Dance of the Butterfly, it does mean it's going to be a while, or at least in theory a while, until it's online, and I'm looking at the potential Kraken available. The Groot ult, though, is going to hold them all in place. Spy has done well to find that initial opener. That's one of the strategists down once again, but I'm looking at Sir ready and waiting to get moving with the Kraken. A chance for a multi-frag of eliminations, already 2 to his name. Eventually there's an attempted response, clobbering time thrown in to try and leave them stunned up at the back line from Kai, doing an impressive job. What was looking like a lost fight has quickly switched into their favor. Kai just eliminated, doesn't need the Dance of the Butterfly, and he could just take them down with the default sort of fights.
Yeah, the shurikens landing, it seems every time they're thrown out. Aegis with another double pickup, and that could be it. I mean, the defenders are just sent flying by this. There's no way back in, no access to the payload as Null's Essence is transported the full distance. Now, that's going to be quite the feat to try to accomplish, because it's not just about making it the full distance, Tom. It's not about taking that first point. It's not about the gap that we've just seen. I think Aegis looked like a far stronger team, at least in that first half. But it's also the fact that they did it so quickly. I think they still have just under 3 minutes on the clock. So if we do go to overtime, you are going to need a serious buffer. We don't need to just see them win this. We need to see Rabbit dominate and push to that final point with relative ease.
For sure. I think, again, like, the things that impressed me most today is like how these duelists are dealing with the backline. It's all well and good getting damage for an ultimate or plowing some into the Vanguard players, but your ultimate job is to get rid of those strategists, and when your opponent is running 3 of them, sometimes that can be quite difficult to do. But I think for Kai and 1-2-2, it didn't seem that way. Like, they were very comfortable. I think they have 2 heroes that really thrive against a triple strategist, because you have those quick combos of damage that you can do with the psionic crossbow and the shurikens that you mentioned earlier, and then combine that a little bit with that soul sword, and it very quickly becomes very high damage, very high opportunity for elimination.
Well, it seems like high ground's going to be contested. We've already seen that the strange portal was put into play, but they're ready for this. Already occupying this with 5 players. This is exactly what Aegis thought they'd be running into. The wall behind to separate a couple, stop the heals from making it through. But the Vanguards are still holding strong. They managed to get a gap around the back. So there's at least still some ground to be fought for here for Rabbit, but then the damage starts to come in. They're looking now at the back line, trying to take those squishies down, and it looks like it's worked wonders, at least to start with. A lot less heals available for Rabbit, and as a result, they are rolled in that initial fight. Even a dive back to take them down in the back line. So again, they were being separated out by the wall in the first place, and that stagger is valuable as it runs this clock even further down.
Yeah, really impressed so far what I've seen from Spy 16. I think he does an excellent job of isolating fights, as you mentioned, but also those Thornlash walls, just they give so much critical damage when players try to move behind. I think he's been super impressive with his placement of the Spore Bomb as well. So I think that we are seeing the true value that a good group player can bring.
Yeah, also just keep an eye on the Psylocke, right? Like, I feel like so far it's been relatively free reign to just get in there and dominate that back lines. Now the Dance of the Butterfly is here, and the healers will have an even tougher time surviving that. A big pickup, but they've managed to deal with Elkai. The problem is that Groot ult is absolutely huge. The bubble will not even keep them online. With a quick pullback in, there was no escape. Invisible Woman ensuring of that with the Vortex, and this is just a tough thing to watch. 2 minutes on the clock and no real presence from Rabbit so far in this early half.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's that chip damage that was done, like obviously baiting out any heals that they had. The good thing here, though, for Rabbit is they are coming in with all 6 of their ultimates. They can just look to try and spam their way through this fight immediately, throwing in that Eternal Bond to try and give them the space. Again, a pickoff coming in. Sir looking for so much more, but the fight quickly swings in the other direction. 4 players falling, and then somehow they've survived that. You go into a fight with 6 ultimates after your opponent used a multitude of them to wipe you out, and they still didn't manage to take over the line. I'm also a bit perplexed. Like, sure, you used yourself the Eternal Bond, but there were 2 remaining supportive ultimates that could have gone into play, and they didn't use them.
Feels like a missed opportunity, but at least they'll still be available for this next, and I won't say final with a minute on the clock. It depends how drawn out the fight is, especially with those healer ultimates and they're committing them. Okay, this now turns from a fight that looks winnable to one that they have to win on the side of RabbitGyatt. Let's see what they can get done, as they've already burned 1 ultimate, but there's the reward. Taking down Magic, at least 1 to be found, and in goes the invisible boundary from the side of Aegis. This will be returned on by Rabbit, countering out the ultimate, now looking for the fight just around the edge of the boundary. They've almost taken her down, but she survived on a sliver of health, and Aegis are the ones coming up with the picks instead. That looked like the opportunity for Rabbit. The chance was there, but it's faded into nothingness, and the fight took so long. We're down to 15 seconds before some of these players respawn. This is going to be very difficult to get back and involved in.
Yeah, the problem is as well is, again, they've burnt through pretty much everything. The only thing that could be put into play is Sir getting back in, but I don't think they're going to be there in time. I don't think there's enough on this clock, just about making it, but that overtime clock is ticking incredibly fast. The Kraken might be needed to try and save them, but no, they step off it even for a millisecond. That is a complete whitewash, not a single % on the capture. Wow, what a dominant first showing in the initial map of this battle.
Yeah, well, this is reading like a complete diff, at least there on that map, but it just looked like they didn't have the solutions over on Rabbit. And
31-0, by the way. Like, think about how many of those fights looked like they were going to swing in a direction, and your Doctor Strange just comes in. That is an absurd performance from Den. Like, literally not going down the entirety of the match, having 9 final hits, which is more than respectable. A lot of damage overall. Like, you really can't deny how strong they were with both, in fact, of those Vanguard players. And hey, you've also got Kai in that backline, exactly similar to what we saw in the last matchup, where it just seemed like an absolute diff in terms of those final hits.
Yeah, also you look at the bans, right? We started this one out with one side deciding not to use that second round ban, and I think that came back to bite them, whether it was the Loki they could have targeted, whether it was the Psylocke they could have taken out. These things, well, who knows what those players would have ended up on, but it looked certainly from the outside like that would have made a pretty big difference. And I think if they could go back, maybe we'd see that ban used the second time around. But well, maybe we'll see it used in the second map, because they still have a chance to bounce back in map 2 and 3. But the reverse sweep needed, and after being shut out like that, it's going to be a tough battle.
Yeah, that is it. It's sort of comes down to, now they know their opponent. Now they know what's going to cause them issues. Maybe they go for a group. Maybe they go for a Doctor Strange. Like, I think both of those. I think the Strange especially was massively effective, although again it's something that you're gonna see both teams use. So again, are you that against playing it? I think, however, the Psylocke's an easy choice. Like, it wasn't something that was being run by that attack side anyway, so remove it from action. A lot of the backline could be problematic. The only thing I'll say is that when they were also running the magic, potentially you'll still have that issue anyway, and we've already seen it once where you ban one, maybe a Spider-Man comes up and you're in even more trouble.
Well, exactly, right? Like, there is no telling what the second scenario is going to be if they do remove that, but I think it would be strange to see them after that first performance come in and not ban a second time. And I think, you know, I started out thinking, you know, maybe this is a sign of confidence. You know, they're coming in going, yeah, play what you want, man. I'll play what you want. We're good. We're gonna beat you, whatever it is. But now I'm starting to think it was just a mistake. Like, a little misclick, a little AFK at the wrong moment. We'll see now as we get into the hero select. We're gonna start with hovers, and then we move to the bans. And the first team getting to ban will be Aegis. This is not the team. Sorry. The first team to ban is Rabbit, and it's the Groot that's taken out of play. No real surprise there.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Spy 16 was incredibly good, so I can't blame them for going for that. I think, again, we've spoken about it, but that combination alongside the Adam Warlock is not something a lot of teams want to play against. And hey, you lose one of your aggro vanguards, you secure your other aggro vanguard. They're gonna have the thing instead.
So I had half my screen covered by another window, and I just assumed, because I saw the pick was coming in so quickly for Aegis, that they were the first ban. But that's how fast Rabbit took Groot out. This was premeditated.
No.
They're not having it. Well,
also going to protect the Winter Soldier again. I think Sir was one of the sort of saving graces in the last map, so I definitely don't mind that coming in as a pick. And well, I'll be interested to see what Aegis are going to look to take out of this one, because again, I think that a lot of what happened in the last map was very, very dominant. They've lost their group, which will be frustrating, but I think that the thing can easily fit that same role, like that front line bolster that causes so many issues. And it seems like, yeah, they're going for the same duelist combination, which I really liked. I think it was fantastic in the last, and a slight switch up to bring in the Magneto instead of playing over on the Strange. I'll be honest, I don't know if this is going to make a mass amount of difference, because I feel like they're able with a similar comp.
Yeah, if Sabo brings the Psylocke battle to Okai, let's see how that one goes. But you say that Sir was one of the big, one of the saving graces, I suppose, is what you said in the last map. And I definitely agree. One of the higher performers on the team. But I think it goes to show how badly that one went, where he had 6 final hits, and the enemy team had 1 player who had less final hits, and that was Invisible Woman. Even Loki was in there with 6, tying up the performance on the other side. And I think that's not to say that Sir wasn't playing well on the Bucky. It just goes to show how limited the opportunities were when the team was being picked apart the way that they were, dished and diced up.
Are we getting an instant? Okay, because I saw the Strange. I wondered if we were going to get an instant portal and then a switch back, but it seems like they've decided against it. The pace at which this team can move as well, and actually Kai has opted to move away from sticking to that Psylocke and now wants to go toe-to-toe with Sir on the other side.
That's certainly a respectable play. We'll see if Sabo can find the same value as well, because there was a lot of value to be found by Okai in going through those back lines and even just pulling those distractions on the Psylocke. And now one of their own on Rabbit, taking inspiration from their downfall. A little bit of a dive coming in from Magic, 48, 18 HP, but barely making it out. Sabo survives. The same cannot be said for the Magneto, who I think the heels were focused on moving to Sabo to bring him back up into healthy form, and instead that leaves the Vanguard a little isolated. The push up as well almost takes down another healer, and at this point they don't want any more staggers. They just need to regroup on Rabbit.
This is already looking like a rough start. They've been needing to try and clear out some of that backline, give them some opportunities, because I think the heals as well have just been exemplary from this blue side of things, already having themselves that eternal bond to start things off, and it's just going from bad to worse. It seems like Kai has decided anything you can do, I can do better, as they're going to look to try and hunt down any of the remaining. And bear in mind, it's only the Vanguards left, so there are no heals available here. This is a complete wipeout in that first half, and already 50% complete.
Well, the good news is Okai didn't get the kill onto Invisible Woman until the ult had already wasted away. Bad news is there was only Magneto left to use it on. Everyone else was already eliminated. So, you know, swings and roundabouts here. And no matter what, all roads on all paths seem to lead to
nice. Very nice.
Rabbit! A huge play though for Sir. That's pulled them back into the game big time. Again, he's gonna look for the pick, and again, he's gonna find it. Now they can start to build up some percent.
You can now understand why they wanted to protect this hero, why they wanted Winter Soldier to be in their midst. A really solid usage of the bionic hook to bring players into his position, and then, well, an easy clear out once that job was done. Even still, though, it comes down to defending this point. They've managed to get the first few percent, but their opponents are right back into the action again.
Oh, you can see Magic stepping discs all over the point, and soon you're going to see the ultimate activated as she reveals her Dark Child to take effect, you'd imagine. Rabbit holding on for now, up to 30%. Lots of damage being dealt, though, and it's all focused on Sir himself. Sabo tries to recover. That's the butterflies on the point, but on the way out gets caught. That's not even the Dark Child. That's just the standard sword swing from 1-2-2. Yeah. The Magic dealing so much damage with the slashes, and well, this one is looking like it's going to go the way of Aegis again. One last chance for Rabbit. They might even want to save ults for the next point.
Yeah, that's the thing. The regeneration domain there from Ash was fantastic. Like, it basically just denied that ultimate completely straight away. You mentioned it. The clobbering time utilized, the eternal bond placed within the site is only going to make it more and more difficult. They're at least getting rid of some of the ults for the other side, but that may be all she wrote. Kai as well. Whoa. Bring in that Kraken, and once again, it is a complete wipeout. They tried with the portal, but it is a failure. The first map, well, it looks like a continuation of the first matchup we saw, because that was dominant.
Yeah, this is a stomp, if ever I've seen one. And again, you see Sir, the guiding light of this squad, trying to pave the way, putting up some numbers, but it is not enough. We go to the Super Soldier Factory. Maybe this is where Bookie can really take it to another level. And I guess the problem is, if that's true, yeah, it might be the other Bucky. It might be Okai, because he again has come in and just matched, if not doubled, the performance of his opposition. Rabbit, the solutions will be hard to come by, and interesting to see here that they're thinking about it. Arcano is swapping between the rocket and the cloak and dagger. I think the rocket's the play to give Sir that infinite ammo to get that res online, because they've constantly had like Invisible Woman picked off or cloak and dagger picked off by 1-2-2 on Magic, who keeps harassing that back line alongside Okai. So I think this could be a really good switch up, and with Sabo and Punisher, that's a powerful combo.
The only thing I wait for is to see if the rocket ever actually leaves the spawn, or if it's just to get a few extra shields or extra jumps. But yeah, no, it will be. We'll be leaving. An opportunity here, and as you mentioned, they've now got both in the form of that Punisher. They're going in for the full team up, make sure that they can get as much out of it as possible. Maybe this could be the change. The turret already being utilized to decent effect, causing some serious damage to the thing. And well, here he goes again. He was the reason that they even got on the point at all in the last, and it looks like he's going to be starting this one off with a bang.
Absolutely what they needed in this moment as well. For Rabbit claiming point early, building up that percentage, it's a good sign of life. I don't think we've seen a strong start at all from this side. It's been stagger on stagger, but now they've got the lead, and getting the setup here with the Punisher, you're gonna have infinite ammo for the first fight. You're gonna have the res. Now that's one thing that Okai can look for in going for this flank, knowing there's a rocket online. That's a valuable piece of utility to remove if he can find it. And actually, never mind finding the utility, they're looking for the scrap right off the rip, getting involved. And well, the heals, they couldn't quite push through the choke with all the damage being done, but as a result, they lose their vanguard, and the rest of the squad over on Aegis pushes forward. Agamotto connects, but where's the follow-up? There is none. They're already spread too thin. Judge, jury, execution.
Oh, massive.
Flanks him out. They even committed the invisible woman ult to that, but it was too far forward and too little, too late, as again Aegis battle their way back into the lead.
I proved on the last map, flex, that he can go toe to toe with the man on the other side, but the fact is, this is where it seems like Kai has got his number. That's going to be so infuriating as well. When you pop that Punisher ult, you look to try and wipe out your opponents and immediately lose it to a sneaky play in the backlines. Well, a not so sneaky play is the pull out of the turret, but at least from this angle, not a lot to be found.
Oh, Meteor M not going to connect. That's at least a small benefit for the side of Rabbit. I think it just barely hit the top of the wall, but here's the bad part. Okay, I mean, that's what oh, the quick rewind going in for the fight thanks to Magic, but it's not quite gonna happen. I guess just tempted by the low HP on Punisher not long ago, but Darkchild online, Okai and Magic looking for the backline dive. Big ult though coming out of Rocket. Now you don't really want to take that fight until it fades away. Agamotto used them with that buff. There's no way they lose this fight. That's a double opening. Turret set up as well. Bucky on a tear, and the ultimate Kraken's impact online and ready to roll if they need it. A miracle needed for this to turn into Aegis's favor. Okai's the one to pick up a single, a double, and the res at least coming in. They'll have Invisible Woman back into the fight. It's not lost yet for the side of Rabbit.
That was the, it looked like for a second maybe there was a miracle to be had by Kai. Always have to fear when he's within the sight. Portal to take that high ground. Still, the final judgment is available. Last time it was eliminated immediately, and straight away we've seen the defensive use of that regeneration, which will keep the majority of them alive. The Loki up top of Ash has done a phenomenal job in this backline, and as the support, he's even going to get rid of that ultimate. Big plays from the strategist. And now they have the space on the side to just look to try and clear everything out. The 1-2 punch of Kai in combination with 1-2-2. The Spider-Man even thrown in for good measure. Eye of Agamotto in an attempt, but again, it's the regeneration utilized at the perfect moment. I feel like Loki has been killer.
Yeah, I know. I mean, especially you look at how things are going to go with ults building up, and with all the high value ultimates available, Loki just really pulls his weight and didn't need to here with 80% on ult. It's not going to be used by Aegis because Okai has just shut the game down. A dance of the butterflies sent in to put that one to bed. What a phenomenal display by Aegis. They came in here, and from the get-go, they were foot on the pedal, and it was straight down to the metal. What a wonderful display. I can't believe it. What, MVP? No, that must be a technical error.
No, that was impressive though. And again, I want to give a shout out to Loki. That regeneration was just so fantastic in those important fights. Like the amount of times it looked like Final Judgment or something was going to take over, but Obviously, that ultimate, or sorry, not that ultimate, that ability thrives off damage. It stops you from being able to do it without clearing out the top of the regeneration. Kai, though, 16 final hits. It doesn't get much better than that.
No, it really and truly doesn't, Tom. What a dominant display this was. And as we said, you know, from the get-go, we thought, oh, you miss a ban. Maybe you're just the goats of this game. Maybe you're just the dominant team. You're going to come in and say, we're better than you, man. I don't care what you play. You should care what they play. You absolutely should. And you should take Psylocke out of the game. If Okai's on the server, that's the takeaway for today.
Did it with Winter Soldier as well.
Yeah, well, actually, that's true. That's true. It doesn't matter. It literally doesn't matter. But then that combination, so we have the Winter Soldier comp possible. I'm sure they've got other things up their sleeve, but it's the Magic and Psylocke dive in the back lines.
Really nasty.
There is no room. There's no safety to be found. So really, really impressive stuff, I have to say. And that's that's going to be interesting to see if we get anyone to match Okai's performance on the Psylocke. For now, though, let's take a look back at that performance with the post-match highlights.